Okay, that was should be okay now, right? Um, just making sure that it wasn't my mic caused the. Okay, it should be alright, inshallah. Okay, so everyone's with us, inshallah. Let's see how many people on screen today. Oh, we only have a few people, mashallah. Khair, no problem, inshallah. We'll do it what we have. I hope it's not that it's getting too hard, but it's just a matter of some people are busy or something today. So were you able to practice you all for this week? Any feedback on that? Was there any practice and so on?
A bit, not enough.
All right, one of the good things is try to keep it at least on your smartphones as well, so you can take out a few minutes every day. Focus a little bit on it every day. Really important, inshallah, to get that fluency and to be able to conquer the reading aspect of it. So let's start today's class, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidul Mursaleen. Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Today's class, inshallah, we're going to be doing prolonged vowels. And it's the Arabic word for it is called mud. So to recognize the mud symbols used for prolongation and to pronounce them correctly. And if you all recall in last week, I did mention that this is something that we all did already. It's just that we're going to be stretching it a little bit more. So this is an addition to our actual mud that we've been learning and we've been practicing as well. So this is just that you have been doing long vowels, and this is elongating that long vowel even longer. So this is where we're going to show you, and I'll show you in the Quran as well how it's used and how you're going to be practicing it, inshallah, and how you're going to be using it. So it says here we've already come across the long vowel forms of Fatha, Kasra, and Dhamma, as well as the Madda forms. Not to be confused with this lesson. It was mentioned that the prolongation of these vowels was that of a natural prolongation. Mud refers to a prolongation which goes beyond the natural lengthening. So that's what it's going to be doing, inshallah. It's going to go beyond the natural lengthening. So in the Quran, there are two symbols showing mud that are found. The first appears more bolded and larger than the second, with the second resembling the I don't even know what's that word. Anyone can help me? Tilde.
Tilde.
So is that something in French or something? Spanish. Okay, tilde symbol. Well, I don't have any Spanish background. I have Urdu, I have Arabic. I don't have anything with Spanish, but I do want to learn. So tilde symbol, for either of these two symbols to appear, there must be a long vowel present. Either alif a, ya sukun, so kasra and a ya sukun, and dhamma and a waw sukun from the long vowels, or the long vowel like how they would go on top of the alif, or below the kasra or the dhamma from the madda vowels, right? So other thing is this course will not aim to explain what causes mud and detail the different types of their situations, but will simply direct you to the length of the mud, using at least twice or as long as the length of the long vowels. So this point here is that there's a reason why this mud comes up. There's a reason why you have to actually um, elongate the word or the place that you have that long vowel. There's a reason why that's happening, and there's a reason why you have to actually explain. There's an explanation that says why it is actually lengthened, but we're not going to go through that. That's actually in the rules of tajweed and so on. What we're going to just be focusing on is how long you're going to do it, and when you see it, how long to do it, right? So we're not going to actually go behind the reasoning behind it and the cause of the actual mud. Note that whenever you come across the mud symbols with the shadda immediately after the mud or the huruf muqatta'at to be explained below, the length will be 3 alifs. So they're just basically saying that in some spots you will be doing it the length like 3 beats, as you would say, or sometimes 5 beats and so on. So he'll be explaining that now, inshallah. So let's just look at what that mud looks like and how do you actually practice it. So this ba alif, how do you pronounce this? Someone help me there.
Ba.
Right, ba. And the same thing with number 2 is the alif on top, which is the standing alif. You call that ba as well. It's just ba, right? Now, when you go to here and you see on it the mud, which is that wiggly line there, this is ba. So 3 length. Can you say that with me? Ba. All right, similarly here. So what they were saying though in the top in the notes that you will always find a long vowel with it. So there's ba, fatha, and after it a alif, and here is ba with a standing alif. You must have those things to be able to do this mud one. The extra lengthening comes with the original existing lengthening. So that will always be something that you will get together. So this one's ba. Same thing, ba. And similarly, with the kasra sound and the dhamma sound is the same type of pattern you'll find. So if this is B, B, so this is B. So the way you can measure it is like you can count it as seconds if you wish. So 3 seconds to make it easy. Same thing, boo, 3 seconds. So when we talk about 3 lengths, you can say 3 seconds, 5 lengths, 5 seconds, like that. And that would be a mark for you to understand maybe where it is at. So, like for example, these are some more common examples you'll find in the Quran. Yeah. Ya ayyuha. So ya ayyuha. So you stretch it at least 3 lengths. Su'a. Su'a. Qutha'an. So let's look at an example. Let's do number 19 here. This one has a tanween after it. So hajja. Now the thing about it is because it has a not tanween. Sorry, what was that? What was this? Yeah, I said the wrong thing. What's this called on top of the jim? Shadda. Yeah, very good. So there's a shadda on it. So hajj, you have to make sure and emphasize the shadda on it, even though it's a lengthen. So that's where making sure that you are practicing. Your tongue needs to get accustomed to the sounding of these things, right? So the muscles need to rewrite itself and to be able to stretch and to stop and to make these sounds accordingly. So that's the art of tajweed, and that's what we do within the learning of it is very important, right? So hajj. Now, mentally, you have to actually be very focused when you're doing these lengthening and shortenings, because a lot of times people will start lengthening what not supposed to lengthen and shorten what's not supposed to shorten. So, for example, they will say hajja just because they're mentally just thinking about the ha part of it, which you're lengthening, and then they'll start lengthening the jim. So you don't do that. You have to kind of stop when you have to stop, start when you have to stop, like lengthen where you have to lengthen. Let's do this one here. Number 14. Let's try Lazina. Are you ready to try number 14? What about Salima?
Yeah, I can try.
O-
I'll try.
Okay.
Asma'un.
Okay, very good. What about let's try this number 23. Give it a go, whoever was ready.
Can I go again?
Sure.
Satan.
Right, so for even with this one, you start bringing in the shadda a little bit stronger. So you make sure and emphasize the lengthen. Satan and
Okay.
sword with a full mouth needs to be emphasized a little bit, right?
Okay. So Satan.
All right, yeah, that's very good. Okay, I would let me see how many examples we have here. Okay. Um Gosh, we have a lot of examples in this exercise. Okay, let me just I want to go over two things, and then we will I want to go onto Quran itself so we can practice with some verses of the Quran with most of the rules that we've been learning, right? The more practice we have with the Quran in front of us might be better, inshallah. Um Again, I'll probably come back to this practice here because I want you all to see how to stop, shorten, lengthen. It's good practice to have that focus, inshallah. So above, there was a little discussion about huruf muqatta'at. These are single letters that have lengthening with them, and they're actually names of surahs. Surah meaning a chapter. So this is the name of a chapter of the Quran. So they actually starts with just a letter. So this is noon here, and is actually pronounced with the noon. It doesn't actually join to anything. It is not a word, but it's in itself a word in itself that we don't know the full meaning of. Right? So they're called huruf muqatta'at. So special single letters that are pronounced as single letters and are read as single letters and not joined to the other one. And I'll show you some examples of that just now, inshallah. So it says here in the Quran, there are words for which the meaning Allah has kept for Himself. These are called the huruful muqatta'at. These words appear only at the beginning of some surahs and in the absence of any vowels are pronounced as their names in Arabic alphabet. This is illustrated below. So let me just show you how that looks. It says here, Qaf. So it's stretched because it's a mud on it. That's why it comes up here. For some of them, it's just a long vowel and a mud, and some of them have they are lengthened like that with a little bit more emphasis. For example, the meme here. So let's just go over it quickly, inshallah. You can repeat with me. Qaf. Then noon. Then sad. This one is taha. So it's just lengthened with one alif basically. Taha. Then alif. So alif is there, but there's no lengthening in this alif. Alif lam ra. This one. Alif lam mim. This one, to, just one lengthen. To, sin, alif, lam, mim, ra. So you all got the hang of this? Anybody have any um issues understanding this? Any questions on this? So similarly, all of them would have the same pattern. Kaf. This one will be kaf, ha, ya, ain, sad. So if you notice, sorry, my throat is a little dry today for some reason. If you notice in this, there's a long part, there's a stretch, and also there's short, short meaning short, long, long meaning one beat, and these are three beats, one beat, one beat, three beat, three beats. So you have to kind of like switch from long to short, then longer, longer, like that. So kaf, ha, ya, ain, sad. So it's like that. For some of them, like this one has a mud. A shadda on the end of it. So to, to, sin, mim. So these are special ones. These don't normally always come up, but it's part of the beginning of some surahs. So I just we thought we would put this in so you'll learn about it. So you won't be confused. Why are these like this and it's stretched? Okay, I see in this chapter too we have a little bit of letters without vowels and harakat. Let's just talk about that here. It says here, apart from the alif used in long fatha, there are a number of letters within words that for varying reasons do not take a vowel. When reciting a word, these letters will be skipped and the next letter that has a vowel will be recited. So I did mention that when we were looking into the Quran and we were practicing the Quran reading, and I said when there's no vowels on it, you can skip it and go straight to the the shadda letter. So that was like an example here, and it's just making that clearer for you. So there's something to note, inshallah, whilst reading. So it's like one of those rules of reading. There are silent letters in between. So it says here, yumsikus samawati, yumsikus. You see, jumps from the kaf to the sin because the alif and the lam is silent. There's no vowel on them. You just don't, read it. So yumsikus samawati. So this is how it actually will be pronounced. Yumsikus samawati. So similarly here, huwal haqqu. Alhamdulillahi. Actually, that is fine. Oh, these are fluency practices. Allamul ghuyub. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ta is short. Ta'ala. You all saw that? Look at that. Hey, they're missing the vowel here. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm sure you all heard this. I don't know if you heard this before when they say like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the word here. And it's really good to know how it's spelled and pronounced properly. Subha. It's a ha with a emphasis from the throat. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's go to some practice now. We can practice here. So I just want to emphasize before we go into the next practice sessions with the Quran and so on. The other lesson is lesson 9, which is rules of stopping and symbols of stop symbols. So it's just like when you're stopping, the last letter would change the way that you have to stop. So it's really simple and something we'll go over next week. And I just want to show you. After that is lesson 10, which is review and wrap up. It's just a few little extra things that we may not have mentioned before with special letters and so on that you'll find in the Quran. So it's just mentioning those things, and that's it. That's the last thing for this course. Again, these other two things are just things to wrap up. Really, it's not really difficult things. So let's go to the Quran. Most of this now would be what we'll be reading. This is actual reading now that comes up. You've learned all the rules. Now it's just the matter of practicing it and reading it. So, any questions before we start this practice? Okay, so let's move on. Fine, today I'm talking a lot. Nobody seems to be talking with me, practicing with me. Um, where are we here? Okay, let's start. This is the same letters that we were talking about. It's pronounced as letters, and it's not actually joint really as a word, but it's pronounced as letters. So can someone read this for me?
Alif Lam.
Did you read the last one? Letter? I think it cut off there.
Alif Lam.
All right, the meme is actually pronounced as meme as well. So you have to say that with lengthening as a meme. Try it again.
Alif Lam.
All right, so the meme too, and the lam, because there's a shadda there, it's joined with a little bit of emphasis, right? So let's say that together. Alif lam meme. Okay, so you see the lam meme. All right, so it's said together, inshallah. Okay, now let's go to this. I'm calling up different people, right? Sister Narissa, you want to try this line here? All right, very good. Let's say that together now. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. Everyone said that? Mm-hmm. So I'll be highlighting a few things as we go along too whilst we're reading. So the raw, there's a full mouth raw, right? Only when there's a kasra underneath it, then it will be a flat mouth. But whenever there's a fatha, it'll be a round mouth, or a fatha or dhamma. So la or raw, not re or ra, nothing like that, right? So raw. La rayba fi. Okay, so next one. This is a silent letter here. Mira, you wanna try it? This part here. What about, let's get someone then, Sharon?
Hudal lil muttaqin.
All right, Hudal lil muttaqina. Now this is where the rules of stopping. We'll talk about that rule next week. But if you want, for now, whenever you come to the end of a sentence, the last letter goes to a sukoon. So that's like a simple rule to follow up. In fact, I'll post that out for you all tonight in the group. But that's something simple to inshallah to work on. So hudal lil muttaqin. Say that. Hudal lil muttaqin.
Talking.
All right, here's a little rule here, and sometimes you get these rules just popping up in the Quran because we follow a basic lessons 1 to 9 or 1 to 8 as the major rules, but you will find some certain things that might pop up in the actual Quran script that we probably did not explain. So um, don't feel too bad about that. If you can't figure it out, that's where you have a Quran class or you have a teacher that will help you and guide you along when you're practicing the actual reading of the Quran. But here it says there's no vowel on this alif here. But when you do join, you start with al. So whenever there's a new sentence and there's no vowel on the first letter of like a alif, you do actually say al-ladina, right? So the reason for that is this alif is what you call, well, the technical word is hamzatul wasl, is something that appears and disappears when it needs to. So sometimes if you need it, it will come and you have to pronounce it with a sound, and if it is not there and is not needed, then it will just go silent, and that's just how you can understand it. It's sometimes it's there, and if it's there you pronounce it. If it's not there and you don't need it, you don't pronounce it. That's just the rule basically. So when it says here lil muttaqin, you can actually have joined this verse with that verse, and it says lil muttaqin alladhina. So nalladina would omit this alif. But if you did not join it across, then you say alladina. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. Anybody felt confused there? Want me to repeat it again? So what I was saying is that sometimes in the beginning of a verse, there's an alif here and there's no vowel. And sometimes you need to figure out what vowel to pronounce here. So generally it's a sound, alladina. And the reason for that is because this alif is called hamzatul wasl, which means it's a hamza that is silent, and it goes silent if there's no need. And if there's a need, because right now we need to start this verse, you put the on it and then you start the verse. If it was no need, I mean, one of the situations where there's no need is if you continuing the verse without stopping, because it's not necessary that you have to stop. So if you wanted to continue, you can continue the verse and join these two together in reading. In that case, if you do join it, it will be silent, and that's why there's no vowel in it. That's where you have to decide whether you're joining or you're stopping. And if you're stopping, you start fresh, you put a vowel on. If you are joining, then it goes silent and you don't put any vowel on it. So example of the joining part, you say lil muttaqina alladhina yu'minuna. للمتقين الذين يؤمنون. But if you were starting from the beginning of this verse, you would say الذين يؤمنون. Right? So no problem if you don't get that fully, you don't have to get it. Just know that this is reading practice right now, and we're putting a alif here when we're starting the verse. So let's ask our brother Irfan. الذين. Let's go.
الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون ينفقون.
Okay. So let's go over that verse a little bit. So it says alladhina yu'minuna. So alladhina, I want you to emphasize everyone this dal. It's a lot of times a person if they're not careful can make the wrong pronunciation of this tajweed wise. Tajweed meaning the eloquence of the reading. So this should be alladhi, the, like that kind of thing. That it's actually spread out as the tongue touches the upper front teeth. So the alladhina. So make sure and spread it when you're doing that. So can everyone say that with me? Alladhina. So the and it's flat mouth. Alladhina.
الذين
Okay, very good. Yu'minuna here is a little jerk to it. We did that when there was a hamza. Yu is a hamza. So yu'minuna with a little stretch there. Alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaibi. And ghain is a full mouth sound. Bil ghaibi. So alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaibi. And one of the things to focus on when you're reading now, this is where the good challenge comes up with your fluency. Because many of you all who have been here, inshallah, you have picked up a little bit of practice. You've gotten some focus on different letters. You now learn about the vowels and so on. Maybe it's a refresher for some of you all. But this is the key now to being able to enhance faster than the others is practicing the reading of these whole verses without stopping and stuttering, and that's a gift in itself. So alladhina yu'minuna, when you got that part and you got bil ghaibi, so this is part of the verse, right? It's a whole sentence that you're reading. Each one of them is a separate word. Now you need to join that together to get fluency. So you say alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaibi ويقيمون ويقيمون الصلاة. This is salah. This waw is silent. ويقيمون الصلاة. So الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة. So you join them up and then you keep going until you can say the whole verse without stopping. So that's going to help you a lot. And you have to actually do a little bit of breath exercises. Have you all tried that? Anybody have done like a little bit of diving and things, free diving and stuff? No? Any divers in the group here? No divers? When you go to diving class, like me, I went to diving class and stuff. Anyway, free diving, part of free diving is diving without tanks, right? So you have the same, you have a snorkel and you have your little mask and so on, and you have your fins and so on. And I haven't used my wetsuit in about 2 years now, but you have your wetsuit and everything, right? The point I'm making is that you have to control your breath and you have to be able to keep that oxygen in. Now, some people can keep their oxygen and breathe and slow down their breathing pattern for up to 5 minutes and so on. That's like a good norm, meaning on a professional freediver, 5 minutes and so on, you can take in keeping up your breath. So what I'm saying is slowly they let out breath, but they don't cause any fatigue within the system, and you learn to control your breathing, and that actually is very beneficial for you. So it's something that you should practice. It helps a lot with this reading practice as well, with tajweed and reciting Quran, because one of the key things is to be able to recite long verses as well without having to stop. It actually brings a lot of merit and a lot of beauty to the reciting as well. So that's something you should try working on. Try saying the whole verse without stopping. All right, so I wouldn't go too much into class today. I want to meaning I don't want to go too many verses. What I'll do is let's just end until the end of this page, and then we'll stop there. We'll practice this a few times, inshallah, for the week, for the next week as well. So let's continue now. يقيمون الصلاة, and here's ومما, and here's a little stretch. رزقناهم ينفقون. I will talk about that in later courses, inshallah. Why is there a nasal sound? But for now, you can just adapt it and say, okay, well, blue means nasal sound. I'll do my nasal sound, right? Red means echoing sound. رزقناهم. We did this briefly. I don't know if I'm doing too much stuff for you all today in class, right? But if there's anything, you can bring it up back. We can talk about it and try to make it a bit easier. But here it says razaqnahum. When we were doing, we said there were special letters called kutubu jadin. Somebody asked it in class as well, and that means that it has a little bit of a echoing sound. I explained it in that class with the sukun. So razaqnahum, it is a little bit razaq. Normally we would say razaq na, but here it actually has a real echo in it, and that's part of the rules of Arabic. Whenever there's a sukun on selected 6 letters, then you will have this echoing sound. So it'll be razaqa, razaqa, razaqnahum yunfiqun. So let's practice now this whole verse. الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. So that's how it will be recited, and obviously I applied some of the other rules that you may not have known, but part of that inshallah you'll gain later on. So let's go at it together. الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة. Let's try joining the whole thing together and see if you can recite it. Make sure you're reciting. Those who are mute and so on, recite it out. Remember, kirat is something that you recite out, okay? الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة. All right, we may have to unmute some of you all, because don't know what pace to go at. Let's try it again. الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة. الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. So it says here ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Read with me. ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. All right, who wants to try the whole thing now from here to here? I have to call some names. Oh, Javed Hussein. Alaikum salam.
الذين يؤمنون ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون.
Okay, very good. Two things picked out quickly, and everyone can take note. Obviously, with everyone, there will always be a little thing to correct, so don't feel bad if I point out something. Here, وَيُقِيمُونَ is a little bit stretch on this. You went a bit faster on رَزَقْنَاهُمْ. So it's a little stretch on those وَرَزَقْنَاهُمْ. It's very good though. Let's try someone. Adana.
الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون.
All right. So for this, the join it. I don't want to yes, mim. Mimma. So it's a little, right? Swinging there on the shadda. So part of it, I will emphasize different things for different people. So someone else, you want to give it a try, Narissa? Yun. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Someone else? About Khadir? Anything there? Can you give it a try? Salima. What about brother Irfan?
الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون.
All right. Very good. So the more that you all practice with it and try not to like stop, but obviously accuracy is important. You'll be able to then become more confident in it, right? So I wouldn't go to the next one. I'll just read it out for you all so you can see it, and then later on we'll practice this next week because there's a mud here. I want to do this mud so you can see how it's done because today's lesson was about mud. So walladhina yu'minuna. So it's almost the same words. This is alladhina yu'minuna and this is walladhina. So there's a wow before it, if you notice, right? So anyway, walladhina yu'minuna bima unzila ilayka wa ma unzila min qablik. وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. So again here, وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنْزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنْزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. So here is بِمَا أُنْزِلَ. Bima unzila. So this is the mud here. Wama unzila. So inshallah we'll practice that again. So there's three muds that came up here. Alif lam mim. So this is one meaning two, but two, and this is one here and this is one here. So we'll practice this same part next week inshallah, and we'll talk about some of these little symbols that you're finding here because that comes up in the stopping and the stopping chapter about stopping. The little symbols that you find. So there's little etiquettes in reading, like where you should stop, where you shouldn't stop. So that's why I said practice as well, reading the whole verse in one, because there's no stopping here. There shouldn't be any stopping in between. So if you do stop, connect it back again from the old one and start back again. And the method, I'll just show you how that looks like. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ. And you can't continue because you lost breath, right? And you don't have enough breath to continue. So what you do is you start back from somewhere here, like the word before, and you say, وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So instead of just saying, stopping here, بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ, and here you're saying, الصَّلَاةَ, you actually join it back, go back to the word that you stopped at, and you say, وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. So just keep that in mind, inshallah, when you're stopping. If don't stop in the middle of a verse, that's part of your practice, inshallah, that you'll be doing. So we'll end there today. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sorry if I didn't do that before. I'll do it today, inshallah. All right, so Jazakumullah, and until next class, Assalamu alaikum. Make sure and practice, practice, practice. Remember, you get a lot of blessings for this, inshallah. Assalam. Oh,